Hey, this is Anthony with A.W.O Comics, and I've got Willie Moe here, and we're doing our latest top 10 video. And for this week, we're going to be doing our top 10 villain first appearances in comics. Our top 10 villain first appearances. And we're going to get right on that right after this. So this week our top 10, as we said, is going to be our top 10 villain first appearances in comics. And Willie Moe, I don't know how you feel about villains, but I think there's some good villains out there, and I think there's some pretty bad villains out there. But I think they're all supposed to be bad, right?
Well, they're all supposed to be bad, but I feel like the villains that are made specifically for the character. That's what makes them great. Like Batman and Joker, or Green Goblin and Spider-Man. Like, they were meant for each other.
Yeah, that's true. And then there are some villains that don't really hit the mark as a villain. They kind of fall on that in between, and some that have come out as villains and they didn't stay villains. So our list is going to try to be, I think, villains that have always been villains. So we're not going to be on that gray area in between place, but we're going to start out with your number 5, and why don't you tell us what your first one is?
Well, my first one, number 5, is Lex Luthor. The first appearance was in Action Comics number 23.
Well, Lex Luthor is a good one. He is a classic. Action Comics number 23, and I think he also got credited with Superman number 4. And a weird story about this that I actually heard doing some research on some of your villains that you picked is that his first appearance was Action Comics 23, but the way it worked out, Superman number 4 was supposed to be his second appearance, and it came out before number 23 did. So it was kind of reversed, but depending on who you talk to, his first appearance could be either one of those. But I like to think of it as number 23, and if you look at that issue, he's got hair in that issue. He's not the Lex Luthor that we really know today. It's a real early Superman comic. But Lex Luthor is a classic. He's been played by many great Hollywood stars like Kevin Spacey and Gene Hackman over time, the different Superman movies and stuff. But he is what I would say is Lex Luthor's arch enemy.
I also want to think as Lex Luthor being like Batman if he turned evil, but is not as violent as Batman.
Right.
Because he's got the money, he has the smarts, and he has the tech too.
Yeah.
But he's not as violent as Batman, and unfortunately, he's fighting against a superhuman.
Yeah, I think it was Action Comics anniversary issue, maybe number 500, I can't remember, but that's when he was first revealed his tech suit that we all know him in today, the green suit that he wears that gives him all the powers that he... And you know, he knows that kryptonite is Superman's weakness, and he has a lot of uses with kryptonite, and he has the money to get kryptonite too.
And kryptonite is what I don't get sometimes is these shows and movies. Some days, kryptonite's supposed to be stated to be a rare material that has a weakness to. Yet in these shows, it feels like everyone's got a piece of kryptonite, and it just doesn't feel like a rare mineral anymore. Batman's got like 20,000 pieces of it, I don't know, in his Batcave.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne keeps
Lex Luthor's got all sorts of it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one, though, and I'll give you my number 5. My number 5 is going to be Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash, or Eobard Thawne, whatever you want to call him. He's my number 5. First appearance in Flash, number 139. I used to have this comic when I was a kid. I really liked it, and it pretty much tells the origin story of Eobard Thawne. And what really happened in that deal was Barry Allen they were doing a time capsule, and Barry Allen put one of his old uniforms, or the Flash donated one of his old uniforms to the time capsule. And in the future, it was dug up by Eobard Thawne, and he got a hold of the Flash outfit and treated it with a special chemical that gave him the speed of Barry Allen. He was able to break it down using 25th century technology. I can't remember what century it was, but he was able to duplicate the Flash's speed. And then as time has rocked on, he has become like the arch enemy of the Flash. Where in the early issues, it was more like Mirror Master was his arch enemy, or someone like Captain Cold. But Reverse Flash has been the nemesis of the Flash as time has rocked on. You know, killing Iris and he's had a lot to do with just Barry. The Flashpoint paradox was caused by the Reverse Flash. So I mean, it's been a lot that he's done. But 139 was that first issue, and that's where it all started for him.
But why does he hate the Flash so much if he's from the future?
Well, he was a criminal in the future, and he was just kind of a petty crook, and he's not a good person. Basically, what it comes down to, you know. He always idolized the Flash's abilities, but he didn't like Barry Allen because he was a goody two-shoes. Pretty much the way it was explained in the early issues.
Yeah, but it kind of be a little bit of a pain in the butt. Go all the way back in time using the I forgot what it's called, Flashpoint.
The Speed Force.
Speed Force, yeah.
Yeah.
Why would he risk it just to ruin Barry's life? Go spend all the time to go back.
Well, he fell in love with Iris, you know, so I think that was one reason why he kept coming back and forth.
I just always couldn't get why he goes back, like does all this crap just to ruin one person's life. It's one of those villain type things that you don't get. That's kind of weird, right?
Right. Well, let's go move on to your number 4.
My number 4 is Doctor Doom in the first appearance in Fantastic Four number 5. And Doctor Doom to me is a really good villain. He's a very, I like how they specify his power in a lot of shows and comics and movies. His power is supposed to be, like, from what I've heard, and you can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, it's supposed to be about God tier. And it's like he kills a lot of people in comics. Kills Thanos sometimes. And then you'll see a show where he gets like joked about. But I do like the fact that Doctor Doom's power is idolized a lot in these comics and shows. And just proves how formidable he is when the entire Fantastic Four usually gets beaten by just a single person.
Yeah. Doctor Doom's a powerful villain. I think everybody is waiting to see Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Doctor Doom.
I cannot wait for that movie.
Or to be interesting, it's completely different from the Iron Man character. He's going to have to probably be a lot more serious in this role, so it'll be interesting to see his
Do you
take
think in Secret Wars they'll do you think in the Secret Wars or the Doomsday movie, do you think they're gonna make his identity as Iron Man as Robert Downey Jr. like a thing, or do you think it's just going to be Robert Downey playing a whole nother person?
I just think it'll be Robert Downey playing a whole other person. I think he'll just have to adjust his way he played.
Because I was thinking about it like maybe Doctor Doom is from another universe, and then in Secret Wars they'll see him as Tony Stark and be like crazy.
I don't think so. I mean, it's possible it could be like that, but
I don't think it'll be like that. But I think I could see what they could do with it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see your number 4.
My number 4 is Magneto of X-Men fame.
I don't see a whole lot of stuff about Magneto a lot of the time, so that's pretty cool that he's number 4.
His first appearance was X-Men number 1. He's been their main villain, and he's also been a compadre of the X-Men when they battled the Sentinels and stuff like that.
Yeah,
one time he was the leader of the X-Men after Professor Xavier died. So he's kind of been back and forth, but he's really more about mutants than he is mankind, and he's always wanted the mutants to battle mankind because he feels like mankind has nothing but hatred for mutants and looks at them as freaks, and that's kind of what him and Professor Xavier always disagreed about, even though they were friends.
Well, Magneto is a really interesting villain. It's because you think he's good, but he's not really a good person. Because you see Magneto wanting to protect all the mutants and stuff, and then he wants to do everything to protect mutants. You're like, hey, that's a pretty heroic thing. And then you see he wants to annihilate mankind, and you're like, oh no, that's not very good.
He's a very smart, intelligent individual, but he is a little bit more of a loose cannon than what Professor Xavier is. He doesn't really look at things philosophically the way Charles does. You know, his kind of thing is just get it done. If mankind doesn't want us around, then too bad for mankind, because we're going to be here and we'll just eliminate them. You know, whereas Professor Xavier wants mankind and the mutants to work together, you know, and live in harmony.
And mostly that would be a thing, but Magneto is screwing that up a little bit with his loose cannon behavior.
But in the early issues of the X-Men, he was just pretty much a straight villain, you know. But his character was developed as time went on, and you know, he's a pretty, and he's been pretty.
To mutants, I feel like
I
feel like he's a good guy. Like he protects them a lot. Like he'll do everything. He'd probably take anything that would hurt the mutants.
Right.
He'd probably sacrifice himself for them.
Well, let's move on and to your number 3.
All right. My number 3 is Loki, and his first appearance is in Journey into the Mysteries number 85. Now, Loki appearing in that comic, it's not really known by a whole lot of people, but he appears in a lot. Like I don't remember what it's called, Venus number 9. Pretty sure he appears in. That's also called a first appearance. But most people recognize his first appearance from Journey into the Mysteries number 85.
Well, what I know about Journey into Mystery 85 is that he was kind of, Stan Lee, I think, kind of wanted to portray him as a goof, but he kind of became more of a real villain. But in Journey into Mysteries 85, he had been condemned to a tree. And he was trapped there. Tree. He was trapped there, but he had command of the tree. He could make the tree do what he wanted, but he could not be free of the tree unless someone came by and shed a tear for him. And somebody came by, I can't remember, Hesera or something like that, the Wanderer, and he made a leaf fall off the tree that hit that guy in the eye, and that guy shed a tear, and then thus he was freed, and then he started creating mischief, and ever since then for Thor. And as time, he's another one of those guys that as time has went on, his character has become a lot more serious and a lot more deadly toward Thor, much like Professor Zoom in the DC area.
I do like in the first Avengers, he was a world threat. Like, he was very dangerous. And do like how his character developed. Sadly, he did, like, just if you haven't watched Infinity War, he did die the first scene in Infinity War, sadly, in the movies. But I feel like they developed his character up till then very great, very good. But that's it.
Well, my number 3 is going to be the Hobgoblin from Spider-Man. And a lot of people will probably ask, well, why didn't you really pick the Green Goblin? Well, really, the Green Goblin, even though he became a great villain for Spider-Man, his first appearance was really not all that dramatic. They really developed him later on, but his first appearance, if I remember, in Spider-Man 15 or 14, somewhere around in there, I think he got Spider-Man to come play in a movie in California, and then he hired the enforcers to turn on him, and it was kind of really a campy type story, so I didn't really like it. But then 238 of Spider-Man, Hobgoblin is a very cool storyline where they stumble upon Norman Osborn's one of his old hideouts, and the guy that found it knew this guy that had a lot of power and had a lot of money, and he kind of started improving some of Norman's old scientific experiments and some of the things that he used. And he found, with notes that he found in the first hideout, he found some of Norman's other lairs that he had around the city, and he created a whole new costume and mask, and became the Hobgoblin. And you know, we were teased for many times of who Hobgoblin was. There were so many different people. And then we finally found out who he is, I think, at 289. And it was kind of anticlimactic. It was almost like they drew it out too far. But I still look at him as a top villain, even though he was brought back and he's still, to this day, a villain in Spider-Man timeline. So I think he's just one of the top villains, and he's my number 3.
All right. Well, my number 2 is a villain that's not really talked about a whole lot or really shown in a whole lot of shows. and that is Brainiac. And his first comic was, or first appearance was in Action Comics number 242. Now, this is a villain I feel like it's not touched upon about, and it's just he's a really good villain, and I just don't get it why people don't really make a whole lot of stuff about him. He's an alien riding in a ship, and he collects planets for his collection, and I find that's a pretty cool villain for Superman or any other, but I feel like he's not touched upon about a lot.
Well, he was widely known in the early days as being the guy that stole the city from Krypton. It was Kandor, I think, or something like that. Supergirl's home city. He had it in a bottle, and Superman was fighting him to save it. He is an android, I believe, and as the newer Brainiac looks more like a robot.
There's a lot of Brainiacs.
The way they have developed him over the years, but the old Brainiac was just an android, looked like a robot. He was green, and he was definitely one of Superman's top villains there for a while. So I think that's a pretty good choice, man.
All right, what's your number 2 then?
Well, my number 2 is the Kingpin, and his first appearance was Spider-Man number 50. He had a small appearance in number 50, and then 51 and 52 he was developed more. And of course, Kingpin is one of the best villains for Daredevil and Spider-Man. He's made a lot of television appearances. He's a pretty big character in the new Daredevil series, and even like in the animated series of Spider-Man, he was one of the main villains there. He's just to me, he's a top Spider-Man villain, and Daredevil, and you just don't see those guys that are villains of two different heroes like that. And he's crossed over on the many books and stuff. But in number 50, the first appearance, of course, is the famous Spider-Man No More book where Peter quits being Spider-Man, and the reason why Kingpin came to fruition and decided to take over all of the mob scenes was because Spider-Man had quit, and J. Jonah Jameson was spreading it around to everyone and in his paper and on television that Spider-Man was retired and he was done, and that he had caused it. And Kingpin decided that was the time for him to come out of hiding and to make his move and take over the entire New York mob scene. And that's when he really started getting the ball rolling, and when we finally really get introduced to him. And it's just been chaos ever since.
I think there is a comic, well, I don't know, comic somewhere where Kingpin's in jail and he still controls a lot of stuff in jail, in prison.
Right.
And Spider-Man had so much, I think he was targeting Spider-Man's loved ones in that comic.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man had lost his mind. He broke into that prison and beat him up in front of all them prisoners. He was going to kill him, but he didn't kill him. He just left him lying there embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that Kingpin don't really have a whole lot of special abilities. The only thing he has is brute strength, and he usually just fends on Spider-Man like that. Yeah. And I like the fact that just because he doesn't have any special abilities don't mean he can fight Super Spider-Man.
Right.
I said Superman.
He's definitely a ruthless individual for sure, and that's one of the reasons why I put him up there at number 2 for me. All right, well, what's your number 1, brother?
My number 1 is Venom from Spider-Man at first appearance in Spider-Man 300. Mm-hmm. Now, Venom, I feel like has a lot of character development to be a villain. I feel like he's one of the true villains for Spider-Man. And Venom is basically created when Spider-Man finally gets his symbiote suit off of him, and it ends up hitting Eddie Brock. It gets Eddie, and Eddie before this had gotten fired by Spider-Man, had gotten fired by Spider-Man, and he had a lot of hatred for him because he needed the job. And after he got the symbiote, which turned him into Venom, and he was a villain. But with the recent movies that came out, it looks like he was a hero. But in the comics, he was a giant villain for Spider-Man, and I do like his character development.
Well, it's debatable what would be Venom's first appearance, because you could say his first appearance is Spider-Man 252 when the black suit is debuted, because the symbiote was actually, that was the symbiote's first appearance, or you could say his first appearance was 299 because he's actually in the very last page of that book. But you're right, 300 is his first full appearance, and the story is titled Venom, and he has just been a thorn in Spider-Man's side ever since Peter separated from the symbiote suit.
I will admit, in the comics, they make him look like a very terrifying villain for Spider-Man to fight.
Yeah.
He almost has every single ability just like Spider-Man, but
he actually has some extra, which is crazy.
He can do anything with a symbiote.
Yeah.
So basically, he's pretty formidable villain.
Yeah, and then there's been spin-offs of Venom like Carnage, and there's tons of symbiotes now, and a lot has developed from Venom. So that the family tree has branched out a lot since Venom first splashed onto the scene in either 252 or 300, whatever you want to say. But he's still a great villain anyway. So I think you got a good number one there. My number one is, of course, and this probably will be a lot of people's number one, is the Joker.
The only reason I didn't do it is because I saw he was on your number 5 first.
His first appearance is Batman number 1 in 1940. Very first page, you see the Joker there, and ever since that number 1 issue, he has appeared in tons of Batman books, magazines, trade paperbacks, cartoons, movies, you name it. He's been on there. The Joker is the most psychopathic villain probably that's ever been created.
I feel like he was made for Batman. Like, he was purely made for Batman, and the only reason Joker even lived to be a villain was because of Batman.
Right. And we don't have a lot of background on it. There's a little bit explored in the Joker's origin in The Killing Joke, but he's just a diabolical human being, and I don't know. The fact that Bruce Wayne never killed him and probably had many chances to,
the fact that
crazy.
The fact that he went through all that crime and refused to kill him it's unbelievable. How he saw him kill so many people and he still
in Bruce's mind, I think he thinks if he kills the Joker, then the Joker gets what he wants.
Sometimes I'm surprised that injustice didn't happen sooner.
Well, that's our top 10 for this week, and I sure have enjoyed it, man, and I hope you have too, and we hope you have too. Again, if you like our content, hit the subscribe button that you see on the screen, hit the notification button. We're going to be doing a giveaway coming up, and we'll announce that giveaway in our next video, and we've got to decide what 2 comics we're going to let you choose from this time. And again, all you have to do to get into the giveaway contest is comment on the next video that we show, which will be coming out either Saturday or Sunday. We've got a real good comic haul coming up. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. What do we always say, Willie Mo?
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. We'll see y'all this weekend.